eco-village called Sieben Linden is located in the Altmarkt in the eastern part of Germany. It was 1997 when the first settlers came here, and today there are 120 residents. What connects them all is the wish for a sustainable life that can be an example for others to follow.
Wir wollen ja mal ein Dorf mit 300 Leuten werden und
eventually we would like Sieben Linden to become a village with 300 people. From the beginning it was clear that we didn't want to define ourselves as one group or one community, but instead as a community of communities. We call these communities neighborhoods, and in each there's a different lifestyle. The idea is that there is not one right way to live ecologically, to achieve sustainability. There are many ways, and many ways will find their place here. Some of the neighborhoods live in a way that most people would consider to be quite normal. Others have invented their own life concept in nutrition, social processes, and finances. Each neighborhood gets a part of the property after they're acknowledged, and then they can build houses there for up to 25 or 30 people.
die Nachbarschaften kriegen dann einen Teil des Geländes, wenn sie anerkannt sind, und dort dürfen sie dann ihre Häuser bauen für etwa 25, 30 Leute.
Until some years ago, all decisions were made in consensus. Sieben Linden reached a size that demanded another model of decision-making.
Ja, vor 2 Jahren haben wir angefangen, ein neues Entscheidungsmodell für Sieben Linden zu entwickeln.
2 years ago, we started to create a new model for decision-making at Sieben Linden. It took us almost a year to bring it into the form that it is now. We have a council system to which we've turned over the larger part of the decision-making process so that we don't all have to discuss all the smaller things at each plenum meeting. It doesn't mean that people are excluded, because the councils often include many people from the community. But as in the case of developing the decision-making process, some topics take a lot of time. Because of the size and complexity of the community, it's not possible that everyone be involved in every decision. And it's a relief for me that I don't have to have an opinion about every plant in the garden. Our aim is to have more time to enjoy, to do beautiful things together, and not always to have to meet about organizational stuff. Just to have a beautiful time together.
Ziel von dem Ganzen war sozusagen mehr Zeit für schöne Dinge zusammen zu haben und nicht mehr sozusagen sich nur wegen Orga-Dingen zu treffen, sondern einfach eine schöne Zeit auch miteinander zu haben.
Sieben Linden has built the first multi-level straw bale house in Germany.
Das erste mehrstöckige oder Mehrfamilienhaus in Europa in Strohballenbauweise.
The first 3-story multi-family straw bale house in Europe houses 18 people, and it's here. In Sieben Linden, we made a decision to use the straw bale building method, and we've enhanced this building method, developed it quite a bit. There are different kinds of apartments in this multi-level straw bale house, single apartments and shared flats. We showed many working guests how to build and work with straw and mud.
Einfach auch Baugästen da gezeigt, wie man mit Stroh und Lehm bauen kann und arbeiten kann.
Heiko has lived in the eco-village for 11 years. He works in Sieben Linden's organic shop and enjoys his contact with all the customers.
Also diese Begegnung untereinander.
I think the interactions we have with each other are very special in comparison to the way it usually is in the outer world. When I think about living in a rented house with neighbors, I think it's quite different than it is here. We know each other. We have forums. There's a lot of sharing of our life paths together, and this connects us. We have common aims, like environmental awareness, or smaller ideas, like we don't want mobile phones or cars in the village. These are some things that are important to me. Another thing is that I have a son who's growing up here, and it's just beautiful to watch. I love how he can move and be with the other children, growing up in an atmosphere that's very different from conventional circumstances.
Wie mit den anderen Kindern ist, die eben auch unter einem anderen Kontext aufwachsen als eben unter normalen Umständen, sage ich mal.
Wir sind hier im Ökodorf würde ich sagen,
We're an experimental field in the eco-village. Of course there are problems, conflicts, all the other issues you usually have. We're not an island. We're living in the middle of society, but we have the chance here. And for me, it's an absolute luxury to experiment again and again, to discover what ways there are to be together, and to watch how solutions are created.
zu experimentieren, welche Wege gibt's und ja, mitzuerleben, wie es zu Lösungen kommen kann.
Ja, um Teil der Genossenschaft zu werden, muss man hier...
In order to become a part of the cooperative, you have to invest around 12,000 euros. We use this money to buy land and to build infrastructure for the community. This year, we will build another greenhouse so that we can provide even more vegetables for ourselves. Everyone who lives here has paid for part of the land, which at the moment is more than 80 hectares, including a forest. It's pretty large property, and everyone owns a part of it. Yes, I think it's a good idea to organize ourselves as a cooperative, where everyone contributes and no single person owns it all. Instead, it's owned by the community.
Davon was hat. Und dass es in dem Sinne kein Privateigentum ist, sondern gemeinschaftlich besitzt wird.
Two independent studies, one from the University of Kassel and the other from the Technical University of Berlin, have pointed out something extraordinary. The residents of Sieben Linden have a 73% smaller carbon footprint than the average German.
Es wurden verschiedene Felder darin untersucht.
There was some research done that showed that we are living more sustainably than the average German in the way our houses are constructed. This is because we only use natural materials that are produced without much effort. The production of the wood, clay, and straw that we use doesn't use a lot of energy, so a house can be built more economically. We use a high insulation standard for our houses, and use wood from our own forest. We've reduced our energy use for building and living to about 80% of the average Germans. Another difference is in nutrition. Our food is mainly local and seasonal. Most of it is grown in our own gardens or in the surrounding area. Our consumption of animal products is very low. Meat consumption is one of the main contributors to global climate change because it uses so much energy and causes so much emission of greenhouse gases. In general, in Sieben Linden, the meat consumption is very low. When considering how to reduce our carbon footprint, a question was, what is the difference between a vegetarian diet and a vegan diet? It's very clear that eating a vegan diet, where you let go of all animal products and only consume plant-based foods, makes a tremendous difference. It's mainly because so much methane is made by more than 1.5 billion cows on this earth. If the number of cows is reduced, the methane that they produce will also be reduced. So we see that the kind of nutrition we have is an essential consideration in the energy that we use for living, and we want to live a lifestyle that is compatible with what the planet offers. Other factors in living a more sustainable lifestyle are things like sharing of community rooms and sharing of machines and appliances that are usually privately owned, like televisions and projectors for viewing movies. These kinds of things are all shared here. We only have community washing machines that are used pretty intensively. There's no rest for the washing machines here, so we buy the highest quality that use the least energy and water. We use things communally. For example, children's clothes are passed from one parent to another. Clothes are not thrown away here, but are put into a gift corner, and the people who like these clothes can take them and use them. Tools are devices that we also share. The whole concept of community works out in the sense that things are viewed to be well used instead of owned. So we use a lot less energy, fewer goods, and we really use things until they have been used up.
Stark zu reduzieren und Dinge, die angeschafft und hergestellt werden, auch wirklich zu nutzen, bevor sie ihre Lebenszeit hinter sich haben.
In unserer Gesellschaft gibt es keine gemeinschaftlichen Antworten.
In the world today, there are no communitarian answers. There's a lot of conflict and competition, and people don't listen to each other. There are such big problems in the world now. People are waking up to the reality that we live on one planet, but the ability to act as one voice is not there. We are trying to learn how to do this here in a small way, and we realize that we are learning a very valuable lesson. We have a big, beautiful open space that could contain a village of 300 people. Currently, we are 120. We already realize what strength and potential there is. A nice poem of Rainer Maria Rilke suggests that we see each other always in front of a huge horizon, and also love the vastness between ourselves and another. We have this vision of being a model society that allows for space between people and this huge horizon. What that means is that we don't quarrel about the dishwashing or aim for very perfect results, like some of the first kinds of communities. We treat each other with open hearts, like in a loving marriage or a close and friendly working relationship. And in doing this, we find that very practical solutions will appear. In every area, we are finding new solutions, like new decision-making models, new communication styles, new architecture, new ways to help the children learn. This trust and friendliness allows us to recognize new solutions in so many facets of our interaction. We now see that the time has come when society is moving toward us. You can see it in every area. We are a growing village where children are born, where the lives of all ages come together. People who do regional development for the government ask, what does a region look like when its communities support each other? How have you succeeded in reducing your energy consumption? Why do you have such a good energy balance? All these questions of the larger society are asked of us now.
Eurer Energieversorgung, warum habt ihr so eine gute Energiebilanz? Ja? Also all die Fragen der Gesellschaft stellt die Gesellschaft jetzt an uns.